Cheap Card Gamer is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's completely free. They have included all the creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor does the work of distributing your podcast for you so that it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much every podcasting service out there. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Yo, card gamers. Hey, I had to do this. I don't talk a lot about Magic on this show, but I still am, I guess, what you would call a casual Magic player. I play on Arena a decent amount lately, and basically this episode is going to be me venting about how I'm not so crazy about Strixhaven. And, I was talking to a friend about this, and they were like, well, what don't you like? Is it too powerful? It's not for me that it's even too powerful. It's just that the amount of interactions and text on the cards is, to me, overwhelming. I can't imagine I'm the only one who feels this way. This is what happened to me, and I'll share my experience with you. I was reading over the cards in the set. I was literally on the Magic website looking at the cards in this set. And this happened to me. My eyes started to glaze over as I was looking at the text on a certain card, and I was like, wait, what? And comparing it with the other ones that I've read, I'll give you an example of this, and you can look up these card names if you want to. I'm just going to tell you about these three cards, and it's not anyway, I'll read the cards. The first one is a legendary creature. The name is Mavinda, Student's Advocate. It's a white flyer. It's a 2/3 for 3 mana, two and a white. Nothing crazy there, right? But here's the ability. 0, it's an activated ability, but you don't pay anything. It's free. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast it this way. Okay, so what that's in itself is a lot of words, but what's really being said there is you can cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard so long as it is targeting your creatures or your permanents or whatever. You can cast it again, right? Normally you wouldn't be able to do that, but you still have to pay its cost and everything. There's more text on the card. Let me keep reading. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only once each turn. You still pay the spell's costs. Timing rules for the spell still apply. Okay, so again, I can play again an instant or sorcery that's in my graveyard once per turn, and I just have to pay its mana cost. Okay, good, got that down. Plus, it's a 2/3 flyer. All right, nothing. That's a lot of words, but nothing too crazy there, right? Now that is that's a mythic rare card right there. So you're probably not going to see that everywhere. It's not broken. It's not extremely powerful. You're not going to see that everywhere. But anyway, I'll just read one more card. This is a common, and by now you probably know that the mechanics in this set have a lot to do with casting instants and sorceries. That's Magecraft. Anytime you cast an instant or sorcery, then some additional effect happens. And here's another one. This is a common card. It's a sorcery. Guiding Voice for 1 white is the mana cost. Just a plains. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature and learn. And by now, if you're a Magic player, learn means, and here's what the reminder text says, you may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. Okay, now this is about the time that my eyes started glazing over, and I'm like, I don't, this is getting to be too much information for me. Now, maybe y'all are smarter and have more brain processing power than I do. It doesn't take much to accomplish that. But, okay, I can get with this. Put a +1 counter on a target. I can give one of my guys a +1 counter. Now, learn, I'm taking a card that is a lesson, and these, I think, are mostly instants and sorceries. From outside the game is going to be in a standard game from my sideboard, I guess. into my hand, or I can choose to just discard a card that's in my hand to draw a card. So I've got there two choices. I can either learn or discard a card and draw a card, in addition to the +1 counter. If I am learning to gain that instant or sorcery from my sideboard, then I don't know how many lesson cards there are in the set. I haven't bothered to count them up, but I know there's several, and I may have over a dozen choices on what card I could pick there. Now, probably there's a few that are most beneficial, and I would have to choose whatever's most beneficial in that instance. That's a lot of choices to be made. This is a 2-card combo, and that's a common card. And it's not even a broken interaction. It's not even like crazy. What you're doing there is, now remember, with the owl, I can bring this instant back from my graveyard and play it again. So this is literally on turn 4, I could do this twice. Put a +1 counter on a creature, get an instant or sorcery from my sideboard, put it into my hand, or it has to be a lesson, but it's probably going to be an instant or sorcery. That gives me another card that I could play. Now, so I'm adding 2 cards to my hand. Now, I may choose that I want to cast one of those instead of playing this again, but I could play this again, or I could just discard 2 cards from my hand. Maybe I'm digging for something else to draw a couple cards. Now, some of y'all are hearing this and thinking, well, this is great because there's a lot of different things you can do. My opinion on this is too many things to do. This is 2 cards, and probably I guess maybe in Constructed you would never play these 2 cards together. I mean, neither one of these strikes me as great. But let me just get really crazy here and throw one more card into the mix. This one, and literally when you're looking at the I don't know what they call this, the spoiler or the archive article that has all the cards listed, these 3 cards are right next to each other. You could pull this up on the main website. The next one next to it is Leonin Lightscribe. It's a 2-cost creature, a 2/2. It's a cat. And the effect is Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Okay, so imagine you had both of the creatures out, and then you play this guiding voice that puts a +1 on one of them. So then the Lightscribe is you're casting in a sorcery. So all of my creatures are going to get +1. Again, that's static information that I have to track. I'm not actually putting counters. I'm not seeing that if I'm playing a game, in real life. I guess if I'm playing on Arena, then it does it for me, which is nice. Because in real life, this would be crazy to try to keep track of all of this stuff. And then perhaps I'm casting that again from my graveyard, so then all my creatures are going to get +1 again. Then another creature is going to get another +1 counter. Then I'm going to also reveal another lesson from my sideboard. There's a million things going on here. Like, this is what. Can you imagine? Plus, listen to the text on this. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, there's only so many ways I can think of to copy instants and sorceries right now. I know there are a few. But can you imagine that? If you copy this, am I copying it? Now I got to do that thing twice. I could cast it twice. If I could copy it twice, I have to cast it 4 times. I got to do this effect 4 times. Are you going to remember to exile that card? Are you going to remember that all of your creatures have +2 guys have plus counter, plus you're going to get 4 cards from your sideboard, or I could just discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards and get 4 cards from it. You add to this any number of just regular, think about that. You discard a card and draw a card. If you the amount of effects that's going on here to keep track of is just insane. This is 3 cards. 3 cards. This isn't 20 cards. And if you have played a game, you know that the board has a tendency sometimes to get filled with 12 cards out there. And we already had a set. Let me take a deep breath. All right. We just had a set not too long ago, Throne of Eldraine, I think, that cared about if you tapped this many of this color to cast a spell. So that's one thing to keep track of. We just had a set in Kaldheim that was, if you tapped this many snow mana, snow permanents or whatever, then do this effect. So now we're counting instances sorceries and doing however many effects based off of that. It just feels like there is the possibility here for 20 things to trigger off of just a regular combination of a couple of cards, like nothing that would be too hard to pull off. And I know some people probably hear that and they think, oh, that's cool because I now have endless possibilities. But my thinking is, it's not cool because there's too many possibilities. Like, there's so many things to be thinking about. Like, already as it is, when you play against a deck that is searching and shuffling their library over and over, then there's a lot of extra time in thinking of like what I'm going to choose when I search. Am I going to pick this card? And then I have to shuffle my deck, and then I have to put it in my hand and play this. And you do that multiple times a game, and it kind of has a tendency to slog and slow the game down. And this is the epitome of that. Like, having a mechanic where you're just pulling stuff from the side, I'm sure the more we see it, the more we'll get used to it, the more things will kind of speed up naturally. But my first thought on seeing, usually I look through a set of Magic cards, I'm like, okay, what are the cards that I really want to play with? And I look at this. I don't even know how to evaluate these because there's so many interactions. It's just still overwhelming to me. So I may change my mind later. I may change my mind as I have more time with this set. But right now, that is kind of one of the things that's bugging me about Strixhaven. And we'll see. Maybe I'll plug back in and walk this back and say, it's not that bad. But just at first glance, some of these card interactions just insane. The amount of possible. It's too much. It's too much, the amount of possibility. It's not even game breaking. It's not even that it's too powerful. It's just a lot of stuff going on. I feel like here's why I don't like it. This is a good summary. I feel like instead of sitting down and playing a game, I'm writing a research paper and I'm having to remember and keep track of all the information. I don't want to write a research paper. I could go take another college class if I want to do that. I would rather sit down and play a game and not have to remember 25 things at once. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Hit me up in the comments at CheapCardGamer1 on Twitter. Are you loving Strixhaven? Do you hate it? Are your eyes glazed over as mine have been? Even just after reading these cards, I feel like I need to take a nap. Of course, I kind of wanted already to take a nap. So I may go do that, hit up my nap. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Y'all have a wonderful day.